Match week 7 of the Premier League is just a few hours away, and we start off with Liverpool traveling to Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace. There are a lot of memories with our visits to Crystal Palace. Of course, Istanbul, Luis Suarez, the 3-0. Then us beating them 7-0 and going to the top of the table a few years back. And the big talking point is that this is a 12:30 fixture, something that Jurgen Klopp absolutely hated. He would blast basically even the the television companies for scheduling the game at that time. We have the most number of 12:30 p.m. kickoffs, I think, since Jurgen Klopp took over. I think that is
Wow.
possibly because of the markets. Liverpool has a huge South Asian and Southeast Asian market. The 12:30 kickoff is basically 5:30 in India, 5 p.m. in India, in fact,
Hmm.
and it's 7:30 maybe in Singapore, maybe it's 8:30, so it's easier for them to see. But there was a very interesting comment made by Arne Slot, and he was asked about this 12:30 p.m. kickoff. And he said, and I quote, I'm not making this up, he said that if the 12:30 p.m. is a bad time to play football, then I am a really stupid manager because we train every day at 12 o'clock. So this should not be a problem. We've
I
spoken,
love this guy,
yeah,
man.
exactly. We've spoken about this a lot of times. Arne Slot doesn't pull punches. He says what he wants to say. And this is amazing because I'm sure you know that Jurgen Klopp is such a huge and cry about this
Yeah,
recovery
yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah.
We play in the Champions League. We have to come back. It's not a time we should play. And Arne Slot's like, no, this is fine. This is the time that we train. It shouldn't be a
Mhm.
problem for us. So a very, very interesting comment by Slot ahead of this game. And I got some facts also regarding the game before you can jump in. Uh, so the last four losses that Liverpool have had to Palace have actually been at Anfield. We are
Hmm.
unbeaten at the Selhurst Park in the last 9 meetings. That's 8 wins and a draw. Uh, the other thing is that Liverpool have been looking in very good shape. I mean, we've only lost one game this season. In midweek, also we did really well against Bologna. So you would think that all signs point towards a win because Palace are struggling. They have three draws and three losses. They were really good last season, especially during the second half of the campaign, but it's just trailed off. Is it because they lost somebody like an Olise?
Yeah, I think so, right? I mean, it goes to show how important Olise was to this team because they've been pretty dismal this year. They're in the relegation zone as of now. Their performances have been horrible. And I really don't see much hope for them against top of the table Liverpool. I think you guys are going to go into the international break top of the table as well after this game. But yeah, Michael Olise. I think Michael Olise worked really well with Eze, right? And
Mm.
the fact that those two guys were their creative output really helped out last season. And who's their striker who scored a bunch of goals last season? This season he hasn't been firing at all. That's the other problem, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think you guys should have any issues at all, facing off against a Crystal Palace team that's really lagging behind the rest of the bunch this season.
Yeah. So the fixtures have been a little kind for us since the start of the season. I mean, we haven't faced any tough Premier League sides, including Manchester United. Got my dig into them like early on. But we need the win against Palace because the fixtures after the international break are brutal. We play Chelsea, Leipzig, Arsenal, Brighton twice, Leverkusen, Aston Villa. We have a bit of a reprieve as we travel to
Wow.
Southampton. Then it's Real Madrid, Manchester City, Newcastle, Everton, and then Girona. So yeah, I mean that run's gonna make or break our season already. I mean, uh, but we have looked good. I think it'll be a good test to see how we do against tougher opposition, especially Chelsea. But yeah, I think this should be a fairly easy win for us. We know how to control games. The only thing I'm worried about is the injuries because uh, I think Federico Chiesa was injured in the last game. I don't think uh, Diego Jota was there either. So I hope that they are fit to start. Moving on, we have to talk about Arsenal. They were in action in midweek. They picked up a very impressive 2-0 win over PSG. And they got that morale boosting win against Leicester after losing the two-goal lead. So this seems like another slam dunk 3 points for Arsenal because the stats just pointed that way. Arsenal are undefeated in the last 28 home league matches against the Saints. This is the real kicker. Southampton have never won a PL game at Arsenal. Never.
Mhm.
Like, wow. And but the funny thing is like Arsenal are winless in the last three league games against Southampton. Two draws and a loss. They drew that game I think last season where it cost them the league or something like that. So yeah, I mean Saints also aren't doing that well. Like they've got five losses and a draw from the six games. So surely this is another Arsenal win with Gabriel scoring a header from a corner. And yeah, I think Gabriel will score.
Yeah. I think Arsenal's last match with Southampton was probably before, right? Before these last couple of seasons, because Southampton
Yeah,
just
yeah, well,
got
relegated.
promoted.
They
Yeah.
got promoted. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, again, this is again one of those huge mismatches, right? Southampton having accrued all of 1 point out of 6 games, right? And then Arsenal flying high. And I'd like to bring out Arsenal's performance against PSG in the midweek, right? A very comfortable 2-0 win against PSG. You could argue that Mbappe is there, but PSG is still a pretty decent squad. And I don't know if you saw their backline of Timber, Saliba, Magalhaes, Gabriel Magalhaes, and Calafiori. That is a pretty fearful back four, and in front of them was Partey and Rice. So defensively impenetrable, right? So you kind of are seeing the transformation of Arteta from Pep to Mourinho, right? He's moving from the Pep to Mourinho side of the spectrum. But again, this should be an easy win for Arsenal, keeping them in the top four.
Yeah. So attack wins you games, but defense wins you titles.
Absolutely.
That's what the Arsenal are going for. So yeah, easy win for them. We got to talk about the third team in the Premier League race right now. At least the third team that we believe is there is Manchester City. They also should be getting a slam dunk win over Fulham. Like yeah,
Mm.
they drew their last game against Newcastle, which a lot of us didn't expect because again all the stats were all lopsided towards City. But yeah, so these are the stats again. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
No, so the Fulham thing might not be that easy though, because Fulham are doing pretty well
Yeah,
this
yeah.
season, right? They're sixth on the table. They're actually ahead of Newcastle, who drew with Man City. And Fulham, they have a resurgent Raul Jimenez after a long
Mm.
time. He was touted to be, one of the up and coming strikers 3 or 4 years back, and then he got the bad head injury, and his form has been down, but he's been playing really well. Another person who's been playing well for Fulham is Emil Smith Rowe. Arsenal let him go, and he seems to have found a good home for himself. He's been scoring and assisting, so I think this might be an interesting game.
Yeah. But the stats say something else. So City have won their last 16 meetings with Fulham across all competitions.
Hmm.
Fulham are winless against City in the last 18 games, and they've lost 13 in a row. And this is a really
Wow.
cool one. So this is something for the betting guys. City have won a penalty in the last six PL meetings with Fulham, and they've scored all six.
Wow.
Yeah, so they'll probably get a penalty again this time. Maybe Haaland will score. He didn't score last time. We jinxed him enough. So we
Yeah.
don't know what will happen. But so yeah, this will be very interesting to see. You're right because Fulham do look good. Maybe
Hmm.
there's another chance for City to drop points. That'll be good news for Arsenal and Liverpool, and maybe even the clubs
Yeah.
that are below them. Speaking of clubs below them, we've got to talk about Aston Villa versus Manchester United. I think this is the fixture of the round. And carries so many talking points again. First, I want to talk about
Yeah.
Villa and how
Hmm.
brilliant they've been. They beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League, which again
And
John
who
Durant scored.
scored?
Yeah, and he scored a
John
cracker.
Duran.
Yeah, he scored a
Yeah,
cracker
yeah.
from outside the box. I think you can add another 20-30 million to his price tag.
I,
Uh,
I think Chelsea were trying to sign him for 40 million before all of this happened. His price is at least 80 now, right? No question
a
about it.
100 million because
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
he's got a cannon of a left foot. I don't know what is up with it. He shoots and it goes in. It's so strange.
No, but I don't know if you saw that goal that John Duran scored against Manuel Neuer,
Mhm.
Bayern Munich, right? It was not one of those power shots. It was
Yeah,
more
yeah.
a very smart finish, right? Because he noticed that Neuer was off his line as he usually is. And I think this was discussed. One of the athletic articles discussed this, that they had done a pre-match review of Neuer's positioning. And apparently, Watkins and John Duran were made aware of, the fact that Neuer steps up so much, and Duran saw that opportunity and lobbed him, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
apart from that strength and incredible left foot power, he also has finesse.
true. And the talking point was how good Emalia Martinez was for Villa. He saved so many chances. That last minute header, also the Harry Kane chance.
Yeah.
Olise had a really good chance. So Martinez has made a few mistakes here and there, but he showed that there is a reason why he's Argentina's number one and a World Cup winner. So a lot
Big
of
game
credit goes
player.
to him. Yeah, big game player, and it's really great to see Aston Villa do well in the Champions League and return there.
Yeah.
And on the other side, it's really great to see Manchester United struggle and somehow still.
Oh man.
I like Harry Maguire, man. So he did the
Yeah,
job.
slab head.
He
Yeah, he
kept
got the
he
equalizer.
he's kept Erik Ten Hag in the job at least maybe
Yeah.
until the international break. I don't know.
That's why you like him.
Yeah, that's why I like him. I think Harry Maguire should start every match for United. So
Oh man.
again, this is so strange. They take a 2-0 lead against I think it was Porto. It was Porto, yeah. They
Photo,
take a
yep.
2-0 lead. Things look comfortable. Marcus Rashford looks like genuinely like the
World
Rashford we
beater.
want
Yeah.
him to be. And then they let two soft goals in. I don't know. Nobody could defend that
Yeah.
Samu striker.
Yeah, so that's
Crazy.
also an interesting thing. Chelsea was scouting Samu as well. After John Duran,
Who
they
are
were
you guys
scouting
not
Samu
scouting?
Amorodian. No, I mean this. I think this tells you that at least some of the indicators of the scouting department is actually correct, right? All of these guys scoring goals, and Samu actually both the times, right? He beat Delict.
Yeah.
One with a header, the other one with a very clever kind of blindsided run. So I think he's again going to be a pretty big superstar.
Yeah. So again, the Dilip thing is another issue. So United spent the big bucks to bring him in.
Yeah,
But I think Bayern Munich got the best part of the deal. Like they got rid of a player that
yeah.
doesn't seem to be at that level yet. Again, this could be a coaching issue for sure because United as a whole just can't seem to click. Bruno Fernandes got sent off
Mhm.
again, maybe a little
Again.
harshly. Yeah, maybe he'll make a hat trick. So the last card was rescinded, because it wasn't a red card, the Premier League one. So maybe he'll get sent off again this weekend and make it a hat trick of red cards. But yeah, things aren't that good. So I don't know. Can Villa do it? Because the stats say something else. So Villa have won just one of the last 25 PL home games against United, and that was the first game that Unai Emery was in charge of. But this is also Villa's best start to a PL campaign. It's tied with the start, I think, under Martin O'Neill. So the other really interesting stat is that only City, Liverpool, and Arsenal have won more home points than Villa since Unai Emery took over. And we all know how bad Erik Ten Hag's been doing. He's conceded 3 goals yet again for another game.
Mhm.
Uh, where does he go? I think it's a open and shut case. I think he will be sacked once the international break is over or once we finish this game because everybody was saying that these two away games will decide his future. So we went through the Porto one. He was lucky to get a point. I was shocked that he decided to take off Marcus Rashford at halftime. He said this is a rotation thing. That makes absolutely no sense because you've seen him play so well. Why would you not give him another 20 minutes and see if he can score the third goal? It was 2-2 at that time. And lo and behold, right after halftime, it was Samu who scored the third goal. So what 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 do you do?
Well, I think this one for sure, Aston Villa are firm favorites, right? Having just beaten Bayern Munich, right? Maybe Man United get a draw, and that saves Erik Ten Hag's job. But the defiant attitude that Erik Ten Hag is presenting in the press conferences is interesting because he's saying, give me till the end of the season, wait till the end of the season to see how the team does and all of that stuff. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he will get that time, but I definitely don't see a Man United victory. I'll be surprised if they actually end up winning this one. I'm going for a Villa win and maybe a draw.
Oh yeah, and John Durant to score again.
Yeah. John
He's
Duran for sure,
he's
right?
gonna
I think,
score
yeah.
some cracker goal because Onana can't save
Yeah.
anything. He's gonna score
Yeah.
something like from the halfway line. I'm guaranteeing that. And the final game that we want to talk about is your club Chelsea. They take on Forest. I think they played in midweek, right? Yeah, you guys played against Kent,
Yes.
right? And Pedro Neto scored.
Yep. Yep.
Shrewsbury Hall also scored, and that Viega. You've spoken a lot
Yeah.
about him. He scored as well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that bodes well. Chelsea are unbeaten in the last 5 games, and but I've won just one of the last 4 PL meetings against Forest. And Forest won this fixture last season.
Yeah.
If if they win again, which I don't think they will. But if they win again, right, this will be the first time that they have won consecutive away league games at Chelsea since 1907 and 1908. History in the making. But I still see Chelsea getting the win. I think they look really good against Maresca. Now we're getting to see clear patterns. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, right? Two kind of numbers I wanted to stress on, right? Chelsea have scored the highest number of goals amongst all teams in the Premier League, 15 goals. But in the top four, they've also conceded the most number of goals. So they have let in 7 goals, right? So it's been an all action kind of start to the season in many ways.
Yeah.
So
So
I think
two of
Chelsea,
those
yeah,
goals, sorry to butt in, but two of those goals last week, it was because of your goalkeeper Sanchez. You would have won
that is
that
true.
game 4-0 against Brighton. Maybe not 4-0, but maybe 5-0 or 3-0 or whatever. So
That's
Sanchez hasn't
interesting.
helped in any way.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, right? So both of them were because of errors due to Sanchez, but Maresca said something interesting at the end of the press conference. He didn't talk about the first goal, which was an obvious error. He should not have come out to try to receive that ball. But the second goal, he said, we'll probably end up conceding 10 more goals like that, where you try to play out from the back. So I think he's okay with it. He's trusting Sanchez for now with that particular passing out from the back thing. We'll see what happens. Nottingham Forest have some really good attackers, including Callum Hudson-Odoi,
Yeah.
who, it always hurts us whenever he comes back, and he plays well against us as well every time. What's going to be interesting in this game is Chelsea in midweek actually had changed the entire starting 11. So it's going to be all fresh starting 11, the people who played in the last game who will come up here. It's an interesting strategy to keep the first 11 fresh, of course, but we'll see what happens, right? Cole Palmer's red hot form. Maybe he scores and assists some more goals. But we have to be careful with our defense, right? If we keep conceding these many goals, at some point of time, somebody's going to shut up shop. And Nottingham Forest did shut up shop against
Yeah.
Liverpool, right? So if they get ahead and shut up shop, then we might be in trouble.
I think that's very interesting. You bring up the two teams that you have. Now, this is something that you would do normally in FIFA, right? Because you're trying to save the energy of the players or whatever, or maybe Football Manager. It's very interesting because you have two different schools of thought where Maresca might be doing this rotation policy where he has 15 for one for the Premier League, 15 for maybe the Conference League or whatever. Whereas you've got Arne Slot, we know his first 11. He again stuck with that in midweek against Bologna, and we'd probably see the same team. It'll be interesting to see what works out because both the managers seem to say what they want to say. They don't, mince their
Yeah.
words. They don't, hide behind stuff. They say it as they see it. I think that match is going to be really interesting when after the international break.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So let's see how this weekend goes. Let us know about your thoughts, your predictions. Do share, like, and subscribe to our content. And we'll see you next time. Erik Ten Hag might not see you guys next time. I don't know. He might get sacked. Yeah. So I want him to stay. So I want him to stay forever. I don't want him to
think
leave.
everybody who's not a Man U fan wants him to stay as
Yeah,
long
yeah,
as
yeah.
possible.
For all the torture that Manchester United gave me when I was a youngster. So till then, take care and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.